Hey everyone, thanks for joining us and welcome to video number 2. Last week we talked about stress, mainly chronic stress and its effect on the body over time. And this week we're going to be talking about stress again, but instead of its effect on our body, its effect on our cognitive function or our mind. So thanks for being here. We're excited. Let's get started. So recently I was reading this article and they had some quotes from the authors of a book called Heart, Math, Brain, Fitness Program. And they said our ability to focus, concentrate, and remember has a lot to do with how much emotional stress we are experiencing. Continuing, emotional stress has a major impact on our immediate and long-term cognitive functions and underlines many of the mental health problems in society today. Okay, so I just want to pause for a second. I think oftentimes stress gets a bad name for where it's something that either it's like pitied, like, oh yeah, you're stressed, like we all are stressed, or it's worn like a badge of honor, like, oh, I'm so stressed and everyone's stressed, and if you're not stressed then you're lazy. And I don't necessarily agree with either one of these things. I think that something as widespread as stress that affects as many people as it does, if experts are saying this truly could be an underlying cause of a lot of our mental health problems today, this is something we should be talking about and looking into why is it so serious and what effects does it have to lead to something as serious as mental health. So let's look into that. There was recently an experiment done at the University of California, Berkeley, that revealed that chronic stress can lead to long-term changes in the structure and the function of the brain. So our brains are made up of two types of matter, kind of. They call them gray matter and white matter. And the gray matter is kind of responsible more so for the decision-making and the problem solving. And the white matter is more of responsible for communication, reaction, kind of things like that. These researchers at the University of California, Berkeley did a study where they took participants and they measured the existing matter in their brain. And what they found was after significantly stressful events and chronic stress over time, that not only were their brains changed during the stress, but that they were finding there was actually lasting changes after it, to where the structure was actually changed, like permanently, from the stressful events that the participants encountered. Overproduction of myelin that the researchers observed due to the presence of chronic stress didn't just result in short-term change in the balance between the white and gray matter, but it can also lead to lasting changes in the brain structure. So literally, this chronic stress over time changed the structure and function of the people's brains. There was another study I was reading from the Rosalind Franklin University of Medicine and Science, where researchers were talking about the hippocampus in the brain, and they were saying that a single socially stressed event could kill new neurons in the brain's hippocampus. This is a problem because the hippocampus is the region of the brain heavily associated with memory, emotion, and learning. It's also one of two areas in the brain where neurogenesis, or the formation of new brain cells, occurs throughout life. So in this study, they were saying while stress does not appear to influence the formation of new neurons, it does impact whether or not those cells survive. And lastly, in all of my research on stress, I've been finding so many articles, like one after the other, about stress and Alzheimer's and dementia. And scientists are suspecting that high levels of cortisol, this so-called stress hormone that you hear about, over long periods of time is a key contributor to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, which severely, as you know, impair short-term memory and other cognitive functions. And so while today it's really common to know someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, or to know someone that knows someone with Alzheimer's with dementia, scientists are estimating it might be the norm in the future. In just 5 years, the Alzheimer's Association predicts there will be a 40% increase in the number of people 65 or older afflicted with this disease, and nearly a 300% increase by 2050, providing there's no breakthrough in treatment to slow or cure it. So that's a really big deal. That's a huge population. They're finding that not only is stress unhealthy for the body and can lead to a lot of health ailments, but it can actually alter the structure of the brain. It can kill or prevent the survival of brain cells and is one of the leading causes of what they're finding for Alzheimer's and dementia. What do we do with all of this? Last week we talked about a couple of things that we could do every day to kind of offset those daily pressures. So we talked about movement, we talked about service, and we talked about different foods that we could eat and hydration. But this week I want to look at a couple more foundational things that they're finding in research that's really helping slow some of these progressions of the cognitive deterioration due to stress. In one article by the Neuroleadership Institute, the authors were suggesting that things like meditation and exercise were yes, important to offset the daily load, but the authors were also suggesting that some long-term change was going to come from developing a growth mindset. And so this was a really interesting concept, but they were essentially saying that participants with this mindset, or who took the time to adopt this mindset, reported less dramatic effects of the same life stressors than those without the growth mindset. Additionally, in an article by the HeartMath Institute, they were suggesting that researchers suggest intentionally invoking positive emotion is one of the fastest and most effective ways to reduce unhealthy stress. What they found is one of the most positive and effective emotions was appreciation. So the researchers used heart monitoring technology such as an electrocardiogram or HeartMath's InWave Pro to measure the heart rhythm patterns. And typically with appreciation, they displayed a nearly instant transformation from erratic to smooth patterns when the subject was intentionally experiencing appreciation. And what the researchers were saying about this is the smooth heart rhythm patterns indicated lower stress and greater heart coherence, and thus a range of psychophysiological benefits that include improved memory, focus, and immune system, among many other benefits for these participants. The HMI researchers have conducted many trials in which participants realized significant reductions in stress levels and improvements in cognitive function by intentionally feeling other positive emotions, also such as care, compassion, and love. So, just to recap so far, they're finding that chronic stress over time can actually alter the structure of our brain. It can prevent the survival of necessary brain cells, and it can lead to Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, I'm paraphrasing. And two things that they're finding long-term are really helping with that is developing a growth mindset and intentionally experiencing positive emotions like appreciation for one, and then also care, compassion, and love. Now, we're going to move into everyone's favorite part, which is foods for mood. In a 2012 study published by the Public Health Journal, they looked at fast food consumption and depression and compared to those who ate little to no fast food products. People who ate fast food at least twice a week were 51% more likely to develop depression. Astonishing. So, what are some foods that we can incorporate into our diet to help with all of this stuff going on with our brain? The first is vitamin B6. The goal, essentially, of many antidepressants is to increase the serotonin uptake, and as it turns out, B vitamins can have a similar effect. So, for example, vitamin B6 is effective in treating premenstrual depression, and your body needs it to make mood-boosting neurotransmitters, including serotonin and melatonin. So, studies have found that B6 deficiency can even lead to depression. Some good sources of vitamin B6 include carrots, spinach, sweet potatoes, green peas, lentils, and other legumes, and bananas. Next is magnesium. Magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 reactions in your body. However, they're estimating about half of Americans don't get enough of it. So why is this a problem? Because your body needs magnesium to facilitate the hormone balance, enzyme activity, and neurotransmitter functions that regulate your mood and your overall health. Something I found super interesting about magnesium is as a result of a benchmark study in 1921, magnesium actually became the first medically acknowledged substance used to treat depression. Then, nearly 100 years later, a randomized controlled trial was published in the Journal of PLOS I, where they looked at 126 depressed participants in outpatient clinics. The participants consumed 258 milligrams of magnesium chloride daily for 6 weeks, and as a result, 89% of participants showed clinically significant improvement in depression and anxiety symptoms. So magnesium-rich foods include tofu, whole grains, and leafy greens. And last we have selenium. So you might not hear much about selenium, but it's an important mineral for brain health. A 2014 study in the Journal of Nutrition observed similar findings. Among 978 young adults, those with the lowest moods also had the lowest blood levels of selenium. Top food sources of selenium include Brazil nuts, wild yellowfin tuna, mushrooms, and lentils. Okay, so that was a lot. Just to recap, today we talked about chronic stress and its effects on our brain. We talked about how it can change the structure of our brain. It can lower survival rates of certain brain cells. And it's one of the leading causes of Alzheimer's and dementia. So, preventative-wise, we discussed how, yes, there's important things to do every day like exercise and serving and meditation and different things like that that can help lower the daily load. But overall, it's a good idea to look into a adopting something like a growth mindset, and intentionally invoking positive emotions like appreciation mainly, and then also care, compassion, and love. And lastly, our foods for moods today, things to help with that cognitive function and brain health, are vitamin B6, magnesium, and selenium, and to try and cut out that fast food and continue that hydration we talked about last week. Real quick before we go, I just want to have a moment of real talk. I think our society has kind of an unhealthy view of stress and what stress is and what it does to our health. I think we're often looked at as lazy or something like that if we're feeling stressed out, or it's just that everybody is stressed, so like, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you be stressed? We all are. And so things like self-care and different things like that are looked down upon. This wouldn't be such a big deal if there wasn't so much at stake, but your physical health, your body, and your mind is all at stake. There are people seriously suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and if they're truly finding that stress is something that is causing that or could even aid in that or help in that, that's something to be really concerned about. There's a lot of different things that they're finding like that mental health wise, but also for our body, like we talked about last week, some of the different heart conditions and different things like that chronic stress is causing. So I just really want to encourage you to kind of take an inventory of where you're at with stress. How much stress do you have and how well are you handling it? And just be honest with yourself. It's no joke. Our body is no joke and our brains are no joke. And though we can't control a lot of things that happen to us, we have to control how we react to it, or our bodies are going to not react to it well. And that does play out in physical health, that does play out in mental health. There's so much research being released about the different things that are going on with people as a result of this kind of neglected issue of chronic stress. So this is your permission, not that you need it, but some of you are waiting for it, to go ahead and do something for yourself. Pick something every day that you're going to do, and it can be from the last video. It can be 5 minutes of exercise. It can be serving somebody. It can be just really managing hydration and intake of good nutrition. Pick something like that every day, and then maybe consider a book on a growth mindset or a program or something like that, or intentionally invoking these positive emotions such as appreciation, care, compassion, and love. And do this for you because the people in your life deserve the best version of you showing up every day. They deserve someone at peace and harmony, and that's how you're truly going to make a difference, and you're truly going to be more effective in the other things that you're doing if you're managing it well. No one really manages super well under extreme chronic health conditions or with Alzheimer's or dementia. And so it's something to think about now. And the truth is that we can't control all of the things that happen to us, but we can control what we do about it, and we can control who we are. And so if you are someone who has a lot of stressful things happening to you, I get it. I've been there. I know what it's like to not be able to control certain things in your life, but control what you can. And so implementing some of these little things is just, you really owe it to yourself, and you don't need to feel guilty, and you don't need to feel shameful, and you don't need to feel lazy because you said no to something or because you picked up something for self-care. Truly, the people in your life will be grateful for the better you that's showing up for them every day, and you are going to be grateful to yourself because all you have in this life is your health, and once it's gone, it's very hard to get back. So take these preventative measures, please put them in place. Take care of yourself, love on yourself, just go easy on yourself, and try to get the stress under control. I know we all have it. I know it's really serious, but truly, truly, you owe it to yourself, to your body, to your mind. It's the only mind and body that you're ever going to get, and so we have to take care of it. We have to be good stewards of it and love on it and treat it well. One of the things as a health coach that I'm finding is a lot of my clients who are really working toward goals, really striving, and they're not meeting them. One of the things most of them have in common is a high level of stress. They have chronic stress in their life, and I truly believe that's what's keeping them from kind of achieving the goals at the same time frames and everything that they would be projected to normally achieve them in. And so it's important to me that we talk about things like stress and mental health first before we dive into all of these other things about our health, because I truly believe we're going to meet goals so much faster and we're going to be so much healthier if we are coming at this and coming into this as the best versions of ourselves. So, real talk is over. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you will take this to heart and just really kind of do an inventory check of where you're at and how things are and what you can do to just keep growing and just keep getting healthier. Health is so much more than just our weight and what we consume. So much of our health is mental and it's emotional, and it's that's the world that we live in. We live in a spiritual world, and this is just how it is. So I pray that you will take this part of your health and start here. Start with your mind. mind, start with your heart, start with your soul, and nourish that. I'm super excited for our video next week. We have a guest speaker coming on. She is super, super intelligent. She's very knowledgeable about stress and the ways it affects the body, but also about nutrition and just the way our bodies function in general. And so she is going to bring some really good expert insight into kind of how all of this is going and just take us to a deeper level on what is happening in our bodies. See you next week.